Hi, my name is Tia Purvis, and I chose Mark L. Sundberg as my researcher to write about. So this is Mark Sundberg. He has been active for over 40 years. He graduated from Western Michigan University with a doctorate degree in applied behavior analysis. He began publishing journal articles in 1977, and his first publication was Sign Language, a Behavioral Analysis and Applications. His most recent publication was in 2017, and that was Recollections of Jack Michael and the Application of Skinner's Analysis of Verbal Behavior. Jack Michael was actually Mark Sundberg's professor while he was studying at Western Michigan University. And later they collaborated together and worked on a few projects together, which I mentioned in my later slide. So Mark Sundberg's work is centered around verbal behavior and children with autism, as well as other developmental disabilities. I'm not sure if he's actively working on publishing something in 2018 or 2019. However, I do know that he is currently working as a consultant at the Behavior Analysis Center for Autism. He also travels and presents at national and international conferences and workshops. So this is just a very brief summary of his work. As you can see from his first publication from 40 years ago, compared to his most recent publication, there isn't a lot that has changed, which is a good thing. He has conducted extensive research into applied behavior analysis, and more specifically, his area of concentration is verbal behavior. So after reviewing many of his papers, I found a handful of common themes. For example, he references Skinner quite frequently. He was one of Sundberg's major influencers, as well as Jack Michael. Some other common themes were verbal behavior, language, teaching language, autism, manding, which is demands or asking for something, intraverbal skills, which is conversational skills, and tacting, which is labeling, as well as reinforcement and motivating operations. He also founded the journal Analysis of Verbal Behavior in 1980, and he was also the editor of that for a while. Oh, and he also wrote a book, I'm sorry, I forgot to mention my second to last bullet point, Teaching Language to Children with Autism or Other Developmental Disabilities, which was written in 1998. This was a joint effort with James Partington. This is the VB map. It's the Verbal Behavior Milestone Assessment and Placement Program. It was published by it was written by Mark Sundberg and published in 2008. It is very widely used, and this is an assessment tool for children with autism and other developmental disabilities. I don't know if any of you have experience using the VB map or ABLES, but I would consider this to be his major and most significant influential contribution to our field of ABA. It is also available as an app in the iTunes store, and he made it available in different languages. This is a list of the articles that I included in my paper. And at the very bottom, I also included a website. It's his website, excuse me, that has a lot of great resources and information, not just about him, but he also lists a few websites that share articles, activities, task lists, and data sheets related to behavioral analysis and verbal behavior. Also on his website, you can find more information about him, his publications, conference schedules, links and downloads to his previous articles or presentations, and the VB map. So this is the questions I would ask him if I were able to interview him. I'm still hoping that I get to meet him at a conference eventually. Just this past summer, I went to the National Autism Conference in Penn State, and I think it was maybe 3 or 4 years ago he actually presented at it. So the first question that I would want to ask is about the VB map. Since I do have a limited experience using the VB map in ABLES, I know that it's designed for lower functioning students because of the skills are more broken down into smaller steps. But I would like to know why he decided to design his own assessment tool. For number 2, this is referencing a 1985 experimental study that he reviewed. The title was Teaching Verbal Behavior to Pigeons. And the reason why I wanted to ask him this is because I don't understand how pigeons can tact or label something, because I was under the impression that a tact had to be a verbal label. Or that there are some cases where it could be written, but without verbally saying it, I had a hard time envisioning how they would be able to tact. And lastly, I would ask him this question because I'm interested to know if he is currently working on something or if he has any plans to in the future. So finally, why is his work important to the field and how does it relate to our class? So without Sundberg's work, we would not have the VB map assessment tool. Or probably the ABLES, since he did contribute to it. The reason his work is so important to the field is because many other articles, both review articles and experimental research, has been inspired because of his extensive work in behavioral analysis and other more specific areas such as verbal behavior and manding and tacting and motivating operations. In his work, he has made suggestions for further research, and others have cited his work, including Judah Axe. The reason I chose Mark Sundberg as my researcher is because I was familiar with his work, and after learning more about him, I found that his work overlapped quite a bit with the material that we are studying for in this course. For example, each of the articles that I chose to review for my paper is in some way linked to the modules in our syllabus. There's stimulus control, motivating operations, conditional discriminations, and so on. And I just really admire his work, and I find him to be very interesting. And these are my references. Okay, thank you.